Hello everyone, Sunny here, and welcome to the Loot Drop YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you my Evil Twin Spright deck profile and guide, so let's get straight into the guide. So first of all, I'm running 3 Max C, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, and 3 Ash Blossoms. So in the current meta in Master Duel, a lot of the top decks are special summoning a lot, and Max C is legal. So we're not only running Max C, we're also going to be running every single card that can counter Max C, so that we can pretty much guaranteed negate it anytime that we go first, and potentially sometimes even when we go second. So that's for the Max C engine, you could say. Next up, we've got the Live Twins. We're running 2 of the normal key skill, 2 Leela, 1 Treat, and 1 Frost. As well as 3 Snitch and 1 Password. So this is the same ratio that I run in real life. You could run 3 Leelas and 1 Frost, but I like having Treat as the extra kind of utility, and it backs up your plays as well. It's technically an extender. If you get your normal summon negated, if you normal summon key skill, you can search Treat with either the Snitch or Password, then search Snitch, then search Treat, and you can continue playing. You also bait your opponent into thinking that they've locked you out of your Evil Twin engine, and then you can just summon one of these like later in the combo after you've already baited them to negate Gigantic Spright when you didn't really even care. So yeah, this is what I believe is the optimal ratio for the Live Twin engine. So we've got 8 normal summons, so we pretty much see a normal summon every game. Unfortunately, Spright Sprint isn't in Master Duel yet. If it was, I would be running it, because Sprint is a way to see the Live Twins if you draw only Sprites, but unfortunately, we haven't got there yet. So for the Spright engine, we're running literally every card that I'm allowed to, pretty much, that is legal. So we're running 3 Blue, 3 Jet, 1 Pixies, 1 Red, 1 Carrot, the 2 Starters, and the Smashers. So Double Cross isn't in the game yet, so don't really have to talk about that. But Gamma Burst potentially could be a card that you want to run, but at this current point in time, not really feeling that it's worth it. Turn 1, you'd rather have more disruptions or more combo pieces, and kind of turn 3, you pretty much just have Trouble Sunny in the extra deck to OTK anyway. Especially with Unicorn being able to clear as well, Leela's popping. I haven't really found many situations where Gamma Burst did come up, and any situation where it really is needed, we have Spright Pixies, which is literally an extender and an honest from hand. So yeah, that's what I'm running for the Spright engine. Now for the hand traps and staple going second cards, we're going to be running 2 Nibiru the Primal Being. So the reason why I'm running Nibiru is sometimes there are some combo lines where you do want to overextend into Nibiru, especially if your Gigantic Spright gets negated, then you can't stop Nibiru. Because if you resolve Gigantic Spright, then your opponent cannot activate Nibiru, because Gigantic Spright locks both players into level 2, link 2, rank 2 monsters. So if we get our Gigantic Spright negated, there's still the potential that we could cross it out. And there are also some decks in the meta that do lose quite hard to Max C. For example, there's that 60 card Grass Ishizu Punk pile that can very, very easily deck you out if you activate Max C against them. So having 2 Nibirus in your deck basically consolidates the fact, because they do banish and they do mill, so it's very unlikely that they're going to mill both of your Nibirus and you're going to draw neither of them. So you're pretty much going to have the guaranteed thing to stop them in that matchup. And it's the same thing with Sword Soul as well. So Sword Soul is a deck that can OTK quite easily through Max C. So just having the Nibiru will pretty much guaranteed stop them, because it is very, very rare that Sword Soul players actually summon Baron on summon 3. Especially because Long Wong is actually a 2 in this game. So yeah, that's where I'm running 2 Nibiru. I'm also running 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, which is pretty much there for matchups that are very back row heavy. For example, Labyrinth, Eldritch, It does sometimes come up for Runick Stun as well, if you can imperm the Hugin so they can't protect their cards. Yeah, I think that every single deck in Master Duel should be running at least the 1 Harpies Feather Duster in the main deck, just so that you have that potential to draw the blowout card in those trap matchups that can be very difficult otherwise. For example, against Runick Stun, you could also use the strategy where you don't activate any cards and you don't set any cards and you keep passing turn like you're under Mystic Mine. Basically, the theory is that they're not going to be able to activate most of the Runick spells that they draw, but you can pretty much keep drawing off your deck. They can't kill you because they're skipping their battle phase every time they use a Runick spell, and you're basically digging into your deck to see all of the counters that you need to potentially out their Hugin and their Skill Drain, their Teekboo, their Rivalry, their Summon Limit, whatever they happen to have. For example, like if you get Imperm for the Hugin and you have a Harpy's Feather Duster, you could also run Cosmic Cyclone, but I've taken out Cosmic Cyclone for the moment because it's not too crazy at the moment. I was running Cosmic Cyclone when Runick Stun was a little bit more popular, but Runick Spright is a lot more popular now, and they actually... stopping the Runick engine doesn't generally do enough for that deck. The Runick pieces are normally combo pieces in that deck, pretty much. You know, it's basically like a small draw engine for Runick Spright in Master Duel. So next, I'm running a very spicy card, which is the Triple Ultimate Slayer. I'm also running the 3 targets for it. Natis, Wind Pegasus Ignista, and Trouble Sunny. So the reason why I'm running Ultimate Slayer is because I pretty much need a blowout card that is going to win me lots of matchups going second. And this is exactly that card. For example, Branded Despia, you can target their Mirror Jade, shuffle it into the deck so it doesn't get the leave the field destruction effect, and you get to Natis pop one of the cards, so you can just force their Branded in red and make them have a suboptimal Chimera, or you can force them to bring back the Mirror Jade early. I mean, normally they'd probably chain the Branded in red to the activation of Ultimate Slayer, but it's just so good that they can't respond with monster effects to Ultimate Slayer. In the Spright mirror, this card pretty much just wins you the game, because we're also running the 1 Evil Twins main deck brick, which basically, in a Spright mirror, whether it's Runick Spright or Live Twin Spright or whatever variant of Spright, pretty much you activate Ultimate Slayer, you target their Spright Elf, they can't respond with the Spright Elf, so you guaranteed get to stop them using the Spright Elf effect, unless they like chain a spell or trap first. So now that you've stopped their effect, you can shuffle their elf back into the deck, you've sent Trouble Sunny for cost, you can then activate Trouble Sunny instantly, send the brick from your deck, banish Trouble Sunny from the grave, and then you get to non-targeted send 1 card on the field to the grave. So that could be their Spright Red, that could be a Spright Carrot, that could be a back row that you're worried about. In some matchups, it could even be like a Floodgate. Unlikely that there's going to be Floodgates and Link monsters in the same deck, but you never know, sometimes it does come up. For example, against like Dark Magician, they could have like a Skill Drain that you need to out, and they linked off their Rod into Artemis. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm running Ultimate Slayer. Personally, I think it's a very good card. I have tried other dedicating going second cards. For example, I've tried Psyframe Gear Gamma, but generally I find that Ultimate Slayer is a lot more impactful in the current meta. So the last 2 cards in the main deck are also the 2 Infinite Permanents. I would be running 3 if I had space, but unfortunately we only have Prosperity at 1 in this game, so we just want to have 40 cards so that we have our deck as consistent as possible. So moving on to the extra deck, as I've already talked about before, we've got Elder Entity Natis and Wind Pegasus Ignista. So Elder Entity Natis, you send off with Ultimate Slayer when you target a fusion monster. When it's sent to the graveyard, you can just target a card on the field and destroy it. So this is very good against any deck that uses fusion monsters. It's very, very good. Wind Pegasus Ignista, when your opponent destroys a card by a card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a card your opponent controls and shuffle into the deck. So it's pretty much an added interruption on top of the Ultimate Slayer. There aren't very many good synchro targets. Definitely Natis and Trouble Sunny are a lot stronger than Wind Pegasus, but just the fact that Sword Soul and some synchro Runick decks are going around, you pretty much have to play this if you're playing Ultimate Slayer. So next we're playing 2 Gigantic Sprites. You could make the argument to run 3, but because we're running Ultimate Slayer, the extra deck is very, very tight. So next we're also going to be running the 1 Downward Magician and the 1 Divine Arsenal Zeus. So it might seem a bit weird that we're not playing Sky Cavalry Centauria. I was playing it previously, but I decided to bump up the numbers of Evil Twin Leela so that we improve our grind game a little bit more. And also it means that if they just banish one of our Leelas, for example with a Call by the Grave, there's still a chance on a later turn that we can summon another one and get our Evil Twin engine going again. But yeah, this is pretty much just for decks that maybe have like infinite spell and trap negates, and you kind of just need to summon some monsters, make a Zeus, clear the whole board, potentially after you've Ultimate Slayered them, or if they've got like a lot of back row that you're not sure what it is. This deck can actually make Zeus under Tikaboo as well. It's very interesting. If you summon the normal Leela and summon Frost from the deck, and they chain Tikaboo, or activate it on Resolution, neither of them are sent because they're both different types. You then Xyz into Gigantic Sprite, you attack, use the Thunder, you Xyz into Downward, Spellcaster, then you Xyz into Zeus, who is a machine. You get 4 material Zeus under Tikaboo, and it generally is very good. Zeus doesn't come up that often. Obviously you don't want to have to make Zeus, but there are some situations where you do have to. Obviously I'd much rather access the Sprite and the Evil Twin engine than just like pass on a 2 material Zeus after clearing their board. But sometimes you don't have the luxury. It also depends on your hand as well. For example, you could go make a Gigantic Sprite, bait like an Ash Blossom or an Imperm. You're not locked. Your material wasn't detached because it detaches for effect. So you can then just go battle phase, make Zeus, you've baited one of their hand traps, and you've pretty much got loads of value from that. So next, I'm also running 1 IP Masquerainer, 1 Nightmare Unicorn. So these cards, Nightmare Unicorn is just very good at clearing certain cards. For example, Mirror Jade, if you don't want to get that graveyard effect. It can also out some Floodgates, maybe some mysterious back row that you just want to get rid of. You know, it's just an extra way of clearing, and it also it's very easy to co-link it. Now it does have a bit of anti-synergy because it's a link 3 and not a link 2, but generally you either summon it with IP on your opponent's turn and you're not locked anyway, or you summon it at like the start of your turn if you've got Evil Twin Keyskill and Evil Twin Leela on the field. And then you get the co-link, you get a pop, you get a draw. It's very, very good. And for the Evil Twin engine, we're running 2 Keyskill and 2 Leela. If I had space, I'd definitely want to run 3 and 2. But yeah, as I've said, we don't really have the space. Basically, the red one brings back the blue one brings back the red one, and then you get to choose whichever one you start with if you want to get a pop, or a target card your opponent controls and destroy it. That's pretty much what those engines do. When you control them, these two also have extra effects, and Snitch also has an extra effect. So treat, during damage calculation, when either player takes damage from a battle involving an Evil Twin monster, you can banish this card from your grave, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and it loses attack equal to that battle damage. So if they attack, basically if they attack one of your Evil Twin monsters with their highest attack monster, and you take, let's say 2,900 damage, you can then target one of their other monsters, reduce them by 2,900 attack, and they might not actually end up being able to clear both of your Evil Twins. Which potentially means on main phase 2 you get to summon the other one, or you just get to summon the other one at the start of your turn, which is just free materials, and gives you access to your Evil Twin engine for free. So treat does come up sometimes. Very rarely, but it does happen. Next we've got key skill Frost's extra effect when you control an evil twin. Basically, if your opponent adds a card from the deck to the hand, you get to banish Frost and draw a card. It's a very, very powerful effect, and that is why Leela is generally a better normal summon than key skill. But I think that running the treat, just for the extra consistency, is worth giving up having the draw one more often. Especially because we're not actually running that many hand traps. We're mainly just running the maxi counters, we're running some going second cards, some other staples. So yeah, drawing imperm on your opponent's turn doesn't really matter that much, because you have to set it on your turn, then you have to use it on like turn 4, which isn't generally very good. Next I'm running 2 Spright Elves, because it's legal in this. Basically Spright Elf can bring back a level 2 monster from your graveyard, which is completely vital for all of your combos. Spright Elf turns the 2-card combo from just making Trouble Sun, sorry, the 1-card combo from just making Trouble Sunny into ending on Evil Twin key skill, Spright Elf, and a monster effect negate in Spright Red. So Spright Elf is very good. It's also very, very good in the grind game, because if you have any monster and you summon a level 2, you can instantly link off Spright Elf. If your opponent controls a monster, you can also target a link 2 or a rank 2. So potentially Spright Elf in a grind game, even if your opponent's cleared your entire board, could give you full access to the Evil Twin engine, and you don't even need to draw any Live Twin cards. So yeah, that's why I'd say that Spright Elf, well, that's why I'm running Spright Elf at 2. You could run it at 3, but yeah, extra deck space. The third one doesn't come up very often. I've done quite a lot of testing, and generally I think 2 is enough. So yeah, as I've explained, Unicorn already, and we're also running the 1 Trouble Sunny. You don't really need any more than this. It's debatably the best Ultimate Slayer target in the game. It's the highest attack link 4 without any additional effects. It has a quick effect to tag out into both of the smaller Evil Twins, so you get the pop and you get the draw. It's very, very good for OTKs. Trouble Sunny is definitely one of the best cards in this deck, and if you tried to play without it, you'd quickly realise how useful she actually is. So that is it for the deck profile and why I'm running each of the cards. Let's get into a bit of a combo guide. So first up, I'm going to show you a 1-card combo if you only draw Live Twins. In this example, we do actually have 2-card combo because we have access to the Snitch, but I'm just going to be showing you the 1-card combo. So we're going to be special summoning our key skill and summoning our Leela Treat from the deck. We're then going to be making our gigantic Spright. Generally, I'd put monsters that you don't want protected in the 2 monster zones below the extra monster zones. So we're then going to use the effect of Gigantic Spright to detach one of our materials. It's not too important because it's going to be getting linked off anyway. Summon our Spright Blue, who will then search us for our Spright Jet. We'll then summon our Spright Jet. And after that, we are then going to add Spright Starter. And we're going to activate Spright Starter. So you have an option here. You get to choose between if you want to end on red or you want to end on carrot. Generally, if you had a hand where you had like max C, I would summon the carrot so that you basically could negate their called by. If you already have like an imperm or something, you could also summon the carrot so that you have more variety in your end board. But for this, let's say that we're going to play around hand traps, so we're going to be summoning our Spright Red. So next up, we're going to be link summoning with our Gigantic and any other monster that we have on the field for our Spright Elf. So it's very important that we have our Spright Red in the far left monster zone so that it has the protection by Spright Elf. So we're then going to summon specifically our Kill from the graveyard. After that, we're going to link our Kill and our other Spright monster into our Evil Twin Kill. We'll then use the effect. We're going to special summon our treat from the graveyard. and we're going to link both for our evil twin Leela. Next up, we're going to use Evil Twin Leela to bring back our Evil Twin key skill, and because we control a Leela, when key skill is summoned, we get to use her effect to draw one card. Now, if we did this in the other order, for example going second, if we summoned Leela first, we would have had Leela's effect to pop here, and it all depends on the situation. Going first, you always want to go for the draw, because you're generally not going to be wanting to pop your own cards. So, once you finish the combo here, you do actually have another option. So you can either end on this, depending on what your other cards are, or if you are at particular risk of your opponent just not activating any monster effects, or you don't really have any other counters, you could link off the Leela and the key skill for another key skill. So this does make, if your opponent just activates the monster effect that you really want to negate and destroy straight away, it makes it quite a bit worse. But sometimes there are situations where you would like to do this combo instead. Alright, next I'm going to be showing you the 2-card combo of a Live Twin normal summon, plus either Spright Jet or Spright Blue. Spright Starter does achieve the same goal, except you'll have one less body on board to use as Link or X material. So first we're going to go for our password to search our Snitch. We'll then activate our Snitch to search a Live Twin monster. We're going to always want to search Leela if we have the option, so that we can summon the Frost from the deck and get a draw during our opponent's turn. Next we're going to summon our Jet as summon 3, and we're going to search our Spright Starter. So if you do have a lot of bodies on the board, and you do, for example, already have access to Red and Carrot, sometimes you might want to search Smashers. If your opponent wins the coin flip, and they make you go first, you might want to search Smashers as well, in case it's like a Numeron or Cyber Dragons, and you just need that non-target banish to be able to for your opponent's cards. So here you have an option, so you can either go for the starter, summon blue and summon red, or you can make Gigantic Spright now, which is what I generally do, which plays around Nibiru a little bit better. In this deck, if you draw both Sprites and Live Twins, generally you don't actually really need to resolve the effect of Gigantic Spright, it's kind of just like a bonus. So if you can summon red with Gigantic here if you want to play around hand traps, but generally I like to summon Carrot here just so that I don't have to do it later in the combo. So next up, what we are going to be doing here is we're going to be activating our Spright Starter to special summon our Spright Blue from the deck. Spright Blue will then search us for the other one that we didn't summon, so we're going to search for our Spright Red. Then we're going to link off our Gigantic and our Blue for our Spright Elf. So another note here is that it is generally better for Carrot to have the targeting protection from Elf as opposed to Red, so that they can't, for example, imperm the Carrot and then use one of their board breakers. They're forced to lead with one of their non-targeting board breakers, which is generally better. So what we're targeting with Elf here to bring back doesn't actually matter because we left the key skill on the board, which is the one we actually are going to use for our link material. So we can summon our red here, and then we're going to go straight into our evil twin key skill. We are then going to summon our Leela from the graveyard, and normal evil twin combo here. So we're going to summon Leela, we're then going to summon back our key skill, and there we are. We're then going to draw with key skill, and then we'll set anything that we might find useful. If you have Carrot and Red on the field, I would generally recommend not setting starter so that you can have some extra follow-up on the next turn. And let's pass turn here. And I'll show you what you want to do during your opponent's turn. So as soon as they activate anything, generally I would recommend, with this combo, to go straight for the Elf, target the Spright Blue, it will special summon it back to our field, and then we get to search a Spright monster. You can also read what your opponent's doing about when you want to do this, and then you can add the Spright Pixies to your hand. Spright Pixies is basically an honest if your opponent goes battle phase and tries to beat over like your Carrot or your Red, and you could basically just make them waste their battle phase with pixies. It can also be really good if they summon like a massive monster that's going to OTK you, and you could just pixies and destroy their monster and you don't take any damage, you actually deal damage to them. So yeah, that is the 2-card combo. Right, next we're going to be giving you an example of the 3 and the 4-card combo. So this might look like it's actually a 4-card combo, but technically drawing the red and the starter together is the same as drawing either just the jet or the blue. So first we're going to summon our key skill. We're then going to summon our Leela from the deck. And so we can either reveal that we have starter here, or we can just summon the red, or we can go for our snitch. I'd probably just go with the snitch first more often. So we'll then summon the frost, and we're going to go for our gigantic sprite on summon 4, because we're going to play around Nibiru here. So we're going to detach one material from our gigantic sprite, and we are going to be summoning our Spright carrot here. We're then going to activate our Spright starter, special summoning our Spright blue. We'll then search us our Spright jet. We're going to special summon our Spright jet, and we're going to use the effect to search. We already have red and carrot, so we're just going to search our Spright smashers. Now there is technically 2 combos that you can do here. So we can normally, like in a 2-card combo, you could also just make IP instead of going into Elf. But I generally recommend going into Elf because the targeting protection is more valuable. But in a combo like this, where you have a bunch of spare bodies, you could potentially end up going for the IP Masquerade. And I'll show you what that combo looks like here. So we are going to be linking off 2 of our bodies, not including the key skill, for our elf. We're then going to be using the effect of elf. We can target literally anything we want in the grave, because it doesn't really matter, because it's going to be linked off immediately anyway. So we're then going to be summoning our evil twin key skill, and this is where we need to make a decision. So we're going to be summoning our Spright red here. So basically, the 4-card combo, you'll get to make IP Masquerena, end on Kara, and end on red. But for the 3-card combo here, we actually have to choose to get rid of our carrot or our red. And in this example, I would generally recommend to link off your red, because basically the IP can, at quick effect speed, get rid of either your key skill or your Leela that you end on, so that they can't just go battle phase and crash. Right, next we're going to be moving into our evil twin Leela, who will then be summoning our evil twin key skill from the graveyard. And we will get to draw an extra card. So this is our 3-card combo. The 4-card combo would look exactly the same, except we'd also have a Spright red on our field. Sometimes it might not be, you might not think that it's worth to commit everything into your board, and all of these combos are going to be looking slightly different if you do get hand trapped as well. But normally, we can play through between 2 and 4 hand traps, and we can still end on minimum our evil twin engine and either Kara or red. That's normally like the worst case scenario, but if you do draw quite a poor hand and you get hand trapped quite a lot, you might end up just summoning the Trouble Sunny and passing. Right, for the next section I'm going to be showing you some replays.
Bye.